it's almost like what are you willing to die for? Because if we don't stand for something, bro, if we don't stand for something, we could fall for anything, right? There has to be
Did you
something.
watch Hamilton?
Let's go, man. Like there has to be something that we care about enough.
You stand for nothing, Burr. What do you fall for?
Welcome to episode 13 of Building Consciousness with Jaguar and Jay. You definitely want to tune in for this. For this episode, we tap into past lives. Do you believe in past lives? We also tap into and talk about where spirituality meets activism. When does it go from love and light to let's do something about this? You're not going to miss this. Stay tuned. I think the concept of what ascension looks like and what it means to remember past lives and like past lives where we've reached mastery and being able to bring that into this lifetime. My understanding so far of what ascension is like, and I have done past life regressions. So I've had some past lives in Egypt. One where I was like an astrologer, but like it was like next level. If you saw the movie Doctor Strange, right? I was in like this, and he goes to see the monk, the lady with the bald head, and like funky looking room at one point, and he's able to kind of astral travel, and she's able to punch him out of the side of his body. So the room. Part of the room kind of looked like that. It was a half dome room. And I saw myself, there was basically connections to different planets and different star systems. And basically it was using astrology to also, or the ideas around astrology to be able to open up portals and be able to connect with other benevolent beings. In this lifetime, what I remember is that where there was some healing was I opened up a portal for some lower dimensional energies. And I think it might have caused some level of chaos within the community at that time. And so it was me then not trusting my gifts and not trusting in my discernment of being able to discern what type of energy I want to have in my life, and also my not trusting my ability to create healthy boundaries. So look at this lifetime where I've definitely had challenges with creating boundaries. I've gotten a lot better with this recently, and gotten better with this recently, being able to discern energies like who I want to let into my life versus who I don't want to let into. But I can look back into my current lifetime and see times where I've chosen people to be in my life that have created all types of havoc. Like I remember specifically living in Morristown, New Jersey, and I put an ad out on Craigslist. I chose a roommate who literally, like, I don't have any issue with plant medicine. I used to dabble in drugs in my 20s. I've done all those things. I've experienced all the things, but I literally chose someone who was not aligned with me because they were selling almost every drug you could think of out of my house. And I had no idea. And then I chose another roommate who, God bless her soul, who was stealing my lunch. Like I would make lunch and she would steal out of my fridge. And these are people that I chose. So, throughout periods of my life in this lifetime, there's been times where I've chosen people that didn't have my best interests at heart. And I will say, definitely since that past life regression and even before that, but in more recent years, like I know that discernment has gotten a lot better. What's really cool in this past life regression, and that past life regression, I got an answer of how I can create a healthy boundary or sacred space, how to create a sacred space when I'm doing spiritual energetic work. And what came to me in that past life regression, like, cause what you can do is you go and see the past life, right? And I learned about this in a book. So I did this past life regression, which is basically a specific type of meditation, saw this past life. And then there's a portion where you're in that past life and then you can rewrite it to become more empowering, right? Just like you're rewriting a belief that you have, right? So I reframed it so that it was like the outcome was more empowering for me. And the solution I came to was basically what I do now is whenever I'm doing spiritual work and I'm creating a sacred space, I basically I pray and I imagine a golden gate being built around my home, around my home, which is my temple. And I say like only energies that surrender to the highest light and love and light may enter this space. And then only energies embodying the highest light and love and light may remain in this space. And I call in God, Holy Spirit, my higher self, and then a bunch of ascended masters that I work with and archangels that I work with, including Archangel Michael and including Yeshua. And that's a part of my beginning of when I start praying or some sort of ceremony or ritual. And I definitely feel a sense of groundedness and safety when doing that. And that came from like that past life.
Oh, that's beautiful. So I haven't done like an official past life regression, like sitting with a master to take me through anything, but I have connected with past lives on 2 different mushroom journeys with the same woman, with my ex-girlfriend. The first time I connected was really just flashes and visions. We were paddleboarding out on it's like river or lake area.
Mm,
And like there was this little alcove that we just kind of claimed as our own. And we were both on mushrooms, just laying on the paddle boards, relaxing. And Ollie was there with us. For a little while, he was just kind of free roaming until like some people came by and he was barking at them. So I put him on his leash. Um, but there was this moment where we were both laying on the paddle boards and I reached over and I took her hand. And as we took each other's
mm,
hands, I just started seeing flashes like, what is it? Like a slideshow?
mm,
Yeah, like a slideshow. Just flashes of lives, just one after the other. And I was seeing flashes of my life with her
mm.
in so many different iterations.
Wow.
Iterations where we worked, iterations where we didn't, but just dozens upon dozens of iterations where she and I had been together. And it was this really weird moment of like, holy fuck, like, is this like telling me that like, cool, I've found it? Because the majority of these versions that I saw were versions of us much older than we were at that time.
Mm,
So I was wondering, like, okay, so maybe this is something we usually come together when we're later in life, once we've reached a certain point in life, and maybe we've reached that earlier. But then there was this weird moment of like arrogance that came in with that, of like, oh, damn, all right, we've both leveled up to a point where we get to meet this person early on, and it was amazing. I didn't see it as that at the time, but looking back, I do. And then the other moment was while we were on a trip here in my house and we were just together. And then as we were talking, while we were looking at each other, there was this intimacy created that then brought me back to switch places with a particular past life that,
mm,
as you said, also was an Egyptian.
mm,
We switched places. And I say that because I was both aware of the situation and timeline that he was coming from, and he was aware of, but seeing the timeline that I was coming from.
mm,
And it was so bizarre because we were both aware of each other's consciousnesses, both aware that we were there and not necessarily the same consciousness, but like enough of a through line to have this connection to still switch. And so we were aware of it. And both of us had to make this choice of, I'm just going to let my consciousness in this present time sit back so that the consciousness of the other time can fully see right now. And so in this present time and day, as this other version came up and came through, I looked at my ex-girlfriend and the first thought was, this is not my woman.
wow.
But then it was, but wait, the energy's correct. Okay. So I look around a little bit and I see my dog, Ollie,
Mhm,
and I go, that's not my dog, but the energy's correct.
mm,
Okay. So I keep looking around and I look around my room, which I am the most satisfied with my current room than I have ever been with any room that I have had my entire
mm,
life. And everyone that steps into my room goes, oh my God, this is so peaceful.
mhm,
Oh, it's so beautiful.
mhm,
Like just the energy of it is like so good. And in that moment, I recognize a deeper level of the reason why Egyptians created the kinds of complex catacombs that they did with people's personal items inside of them. So that way, when they wake back up, when they come back, when they return,
mm,
they see and understand where they're at.
mm,
And so somehow I had set up my current room in this space to reflect enough of the things that this previous version of me recognized to go, okay, so this isn't my stuff,
mhm,
but it's still me, and was able to kind of orient in that way.
mhm,
And then me seeing his timeline, I had a similar moment of not my woman, wait, no, the energy's right. Not my dog, wait, the energy's right. But the interaction that was there that I was seeing wasn't in a room. It was out in nature. It was on a river.
mm.
And I was able to see where this first connection was created.
Wow.
And it was crazy in so many levels, but it also just helped me see that like so much of soul is connected through time, through space, and like that doesn't really matter so much.
Mhm,
And what I've gotten through that, so I should probably dive in a little bit more about what was happening around it.
mhm,
So, you viewer or listener discretion warning, this is where it gets intimate. So, if you don't want to hear this, jump ahead a few minutes. So, me and my ex girlfriend, we were making love at the time of this happening. And the switch happened when the past version of me was also making love.
Mm,
And so that's why it was so jarring to look and go, whoa, that's not who I was just with. Like the face is not correct,
mm,
but oh, wait, the energy is correct.
yeah, yeah.
And so for me seeing his life, we were on the Nile on like this rock right off the sand, right off the bank. And as I'm looking around and seeing things and kind of like coming to an understanding, I also saw somebody off on the bank that wasn't supposed to be there. And then it wasn't me acting, it was me witnessing what that version of me did.
Mm,
And so that version hopped up and ran after them and killed them.
mm,
And so it was this message of, look, for one, there's something not right here. This person that you're trying to be with, this person that you're trying to connect with, it's not right. If it were right, this other person wouldn't have been there to spy and there wouldn't have been this problem,
mm,
which is why that version of me got up and went and killed him, because there was something there that wasn't supposed to be there. And so when they witnessed it, they left to go tell somebody. And that version of me was like, not happening. And it was telling me that you, in this modern present day version, you haven't killed anybody yet.
mm,
Don't do that. Don't take yourself. Don't be in that. If ever there is a reason or whatever it is, make a different choice. Figure something else out.
mm,
So it was this interesting twofold message that I'm sure I'm going to continue to get other things from.
mhm.
But those were my experiences with past lives.
You think the purpose of you seeing that past Egyptian life was because you made a decision where you killed someone because of this girl over this girl, and the person and this person when she was your girlfriend in this lifetime, you do felt that there was the potentiality that you could feel driven to the point to where you could make the same mistake because of maybe some level of toxicity or something like that? Is that kind of
Basically. Yeah, we've lightly touched on like this relationship, how I was wanting this to happen so bad. I
mm,
wanted this relationship to happen so bad that I drove it. I didn't coerce her in any way
mm,
except to just be like, hey, like, I think we should give this a chance.
mm,
Why do you want to just kill this baby in the cradle when we haven't even seen whether or not it has a chance to grow up?
mm,
Like, clearly we have a connection. Clearly we're attracted to each other. Clearly we get along really well. Let's try. And she was in the space of let's be friends and go from there. And I was like, nah, I
mm,
don't want to be friends. I want to be more. And so I think that had I been able to see and understand this level of the message when I got it, I possibly could have taken a step back to just go, fuck, and like had a different type of experience.
sure.
And I don't really know, but it was later on that like through continuing to try to make the relationship work, that other things kept popping up, kept cropping up.
Mm,
So after we had broken up and I had slept with somebody else, we tried to start coming back together, but I also hadn't told her about what had happened yet. But we went on this date. And after that date, we were coming back to my house and I got in a hit and run. I hadn't been in a car accident in a very long time. And every accident that I had been in before this one was like one person was parked and the other one made a silly choice, like very low stakes kind of things.
mm,
This was the first like semi major car accident I had been in. And it was somebody else doing something that made no sense to me. And I did my best to maneuver around, but I still had to basically allow us to get hit.
mm,
Everyone was safe within our car, but I
mhm,
also didn't get any of their information or nothing. And that ended up costing me a lot because I had to get a new car and
mhm,
my car wasn't worth all that much. So while I got a bit of a payoff, it still wasn't nearly enough to actually get me a new car. So
mhm,
it was a very expensive kind of decision. So I continued to try to make this thing work.
mhm,
Whereas I think a large part of the message was like, hey, I get it.
mhm.
There's this cool connection. It's really nice. It's also not right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes, past lives can show up to like to warn us about something, like give us an idea like, hey, like you might want to think about this a little bit more, maybe think a little bit differently, or hey, you've been down this path before. Let's look at some alternative choice that you can make, or just really think about what you're doing. And I also believe too that if there's patterns that we have in life that we're noticing that we may want to change or fix, sometimes it's because, and we're not able to fix it. It could be because it's rooted in a past life. And then once you do that past life regression, that pattern that, you may have had a trouble shifting or changing or, or going a better direction with is much easier to change because the energy is no longer there because you've gone back, you've seen and witnessed that past life. You've removed the energy from there. You've forgiven yourself and you've reframed that past life to become a more empowering one. And going through these exercises has been super helpful. One theme for myself that past life regressions has helped me with was this theme around inferiority. Sometimes it would go, but sometimes it'd be inferior. Like majority of the time, it'd be some level of feeling like inferior, but then there'd be times to where like I would feel superior, and like both are misalignments, regardless of which side I was on. And so I'm like, what's up with
Yeah.
this inferiority thing, right? And the past life didn't fix it fully, but it definitely helped significantly. And so I did a past life regression. In one past life, I was a slave. I was on a plantation, and my mother in this past lifetime was my brother. And the dynamic was similar in some ways, with how the dynamic with my mother has been in this life for the most part. I will say we have shifted a lot to the point where in this lifetime, in this present moment, like I look forward to talking to her. Like I can't wait to talk to her next. And this took 36 years to get to this point. I'm 36 years old now. So I'm talking about a very, very recent shift in our relationship. But, going back to this past life and how it's been for, me knowing my mother in this lifetime, she's my brother in another relationship. She's my older brother. And in that lifetime and in this lifetime, my mother has always been super protective over me. Like always like, I don't even call it looking out for me, just almost like not wanting to keep me safe. So much so that like I don't really take any chances or risks or do the things that I really, really want to do. So in this lifetime, what was happening was, and I don't know how much you know about this, Jaguar, but when slaves were in slavery, like they, I don't know how much it gets talked about, but they would really try hard to like escape. There's a lot of rebellions, et cetera, et cetera. On this plantation, I didn't rebel in the sense of like trying to like fight back or kill the slave masters. In this lifetime, it was just finding the right time to sneak away. And what happened was, I believe I forget whether I tried to escape with the slaves that were trying to escape as well, or if my brother stopped me and then the slaves that tried to escape got caught. But regardless, the slaves who tried to escape, they got caught. And basically my brother's like, see, I told you like not to do that, blah, 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 blah. And so from that moment, what I took was a sense of like, damn, like I really want my freedom, but like I don't, but not at the cost of like, them being tortured or whatever would happen if you got caught as a slave. And so, but going back to that moment, and then also too, like accepting being treated as an inferior to someone else as a way of survival, right? So, right, if all this is true and accurate, I equated allowing myself to defer and to be inferior as a way to survive. But like it is 2025, not saying that we don't still have issues, but it's not, 18, 17, 16 something to like where, it's not the same it's not the same environment at all. So my point is that once I was able to realize like, oh wow, like I'm linking this to survival and all these other things, then I was able to kind of heal that charge and also reframe it to where we did escape, right? Because once I saw us escaping, now all of a sudden, instead of me feeling like I need to, keep myself like in enslavement in a sense to protect myself, to protect my well-being, realizing like I can be free. And then in this lifetime, I definitely felt the shift. Now I felt around that
So
and like not needing to defer to people and being able to take the risks that I need to take and be able to take the direction of life that I wanted to take. So that was definitely an empowering one for sure.
yeah, I was gonna ask how it's equating to like this life now, like
Yes,
what kind of lessons
yes.
you took.
I think it's equating. Thank you for asking that question, man. I appreciate that. I think it's because I felt I allowed myself to be free. I allowed myself to stand up for what I believed in. Like if I really believe in something, like it's almost like what are you willing to die for? Because if we don't stand for something, bro, if we don't stand for something, we could fall for anything, right? There has to be
Did you
something.
watch Hamilton?
Let's go, man. Like there has to be something that we care about enough.
You stand for nothing, Burr. What do you fall for?
Exactly, exactly. There has to be something that we care about enough that we're willing to die for. Like we care about it that much because, for the other outcome to happen, it'd be some form of injustice or whatever, something that we just can't, that we just are refusing to be a part of, right? And we equate
Yeah.
that to the times now. Like we're at a time now where yes, we have certain freedoms, but our freedom as a civilization is being challenged. And it's like, yo, like, what are we willing to stand up for? What are we willing to, I don't think we need to necessarily die in this time, in this day and time, even that could be a potential outcome, but it's like, what are we willing to stand up for? What are we willing to potentially die for? What are we willing to put our necks out on the line for? Because we will not stand for injustice. What is that? And so it helped me step more into that type of energy.
So is that's something that you have an answer for yourself?
Yeah, this is a great question. Damn, Jaguar killing it. What am I
You
willing?
bringing it up. I'm just asking clarification
I feel
questions.
like this, man. So the idea of slavery, I almost feel like I'd rather die than allow myself to be enslaved. Not to say that not to say that there aren't ways in my current life right now that I haven't enslaved myself with my thinking or thinking around abundance or belief systems, but like if it was like going, say, back to like the 1600, whatever, right?
You're talking
I'd
like
rather
physically,
die than
like
allow myself
being
to
up,
be, you know what I'm saying?
doing work for other people,
Yeah, exactly.
kinda.
So it's like, okay, like, so yeah, um and not to say there's not slavery in other parts of the world, and and I want to say this too, because
Even in this part.
what was that?
Even in this part.
Even in this part.
I mean, like, I'm in Atlanta
Hmm.
where, like, human trafficking is
Hmm.
bad here. It's not so open, like, you don't just, like, see it, but, like, there are busts here where,
Wow.
like, houses in really nice neighborhoods are busted and, like, they were, like, the epicenter for, like, trafficking, right?
Wow.
And then you'll have, like, massage parlors where, like, they're the kinda, like, happy ending massage
Mm.
parlors and, like, yeah, turns out they were people who were here through human trafficking.
Wow.
Like, Atlanta, like, it's known here.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, and Hartsfield-Jackson being the international hub
Hmm.
tends to be, like, a big epicenter of, like, where it is and where it happens, and so people like, there's focus on it. And so, like, being in Atlanta for such a long time, I'm hyper aware of the fact that, like, no, it's still a thing.
Damn.
It's not nearly as out and about,
Hmm.
like, as, like, known or, like, definitely not openly expressed, but
Hmm.
it's still a thing, which brings me kinda to a question that started to come up in that, like, where is that line? Because you started to bring up, like, "I won't let myself be enslaved," and then you
Hmm.
backtracked it in a way to say, "I know that there are things that I enslaved myself to, a mindset
Hmm.
here or this thing there," and then that brought to mind where, like, so often before, like, I became aware of things that were happening,
Hmm.
advertisement would get me.
Hmm.
Advertisement is one of those forms of manipulation where if you're not aware of what is happening,
Hmm.
an advertisement will get you and get you to spend your money like that. All kinds of advertisement.
Hmm.
And like there's still some that I struggle with,
Hmm.
but for the most part, I'm pretty aware of like, okay, yeah, they're selling something and they're trying to talk it up. They're trying to hit a fear point here. So that
Hmm.
way I'll go, oh God, right. I don't want that sickness. So I'm gonna buy this medicine or whatever it is. So my curiosity is where is that line? Where's the distinction between I guess where's the tipping point? The tipping point. Where's that tipping point between like this subtle low-key manipulative
Hmm.
enslavement for other people's profit
Yeah.
to, "No, I'm physically being enslaved to directly give to, and it's visible," rather than this more like invisible.
I think it's right now, man. Like, so I'll tell you what, I never, in this lifetime, I haven't been much of an activist. My mother has been, my aunt has been, other people have been, and I've seen friends, etc. When the whole Black Lives Matter thing started, I wasn't out there in that way. My whole thing was like just getting myself right, and like what I thought my calling was like around healing and helping people to deal with whatever traumas that were coming up. And there's been all types of things, but like now, kind of as I feel like I'm having my second awakening, and I'm seeing what's happening with people being deported and tearing apart from their families within the Latino community. Like, I feel something rising up within myself. Like, that's not okay. Regardless of Democrat, Republican, etc., I couldn't imagine me having a family and somebody taking me from my family and sending me back. And here's the thing, basically everybody here, except for the Native Americans, is an immigrant, basically. So this idea of who are we to make another group of people feel like they don't belong. We all belong to
Yeah.
Earth. We all do. And so I think the time is right now. We've seen stuff like this happen over history, and the time is literally right now to answer your question. And so what does that look like? form of activism has been to simply post videos showing what's happening and, energetically supporting the folks out there and praying for them. I feel like the ultimate way to fight back is to own land, is to have ownership and things where, I have a say on what happens legally, where people can come to, versus like, a group of people just can't be pushed out, right? So I think to ownership. So is my time better used being focused on ownership and like getting land, owning a home, or is it better used, going to march with the folks, to protest against what's happening with immigration in that community, or is there a mixture of both? So I think that the answer is going to come. I think if the right event did come up, I probably would go, just because I think solidarity is important to send right now. Um, and this is all new. I've never been this person in the past. So.
I love that that's your history and your past,
Mm,
because when the Black Lives Matter protests really cropped up and started going,
mhm,
I was there. Not
mm,
like I was there for all of them, but I think I went to 4.
mhm,
I think it was 3 here in Atlanta and
mm,
then 1 in Charlotte.
mhm, mhm,
And it wasn't until I went to one and I posted it up on Instagram that I was there. And this was back when I was married.
mhm,
My sister, who is a lawyer,
mhm,
messaged me and said, "You know that if you were to be arrested
mm.
at one of those, you will destroy her chance of becoming a citizen." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
What?
Like, yeah, like there's a high likelihood that if you were to be arrested at something like this,
Mm,
they would not allow her to become a citizen.
mm,
And so then I was stuck with this, what do I do? Because
mm,
it was something I felt so strongly about and
mhm,
so passionate about that I was very much like, yeah, let's go. Like, let's stand up for this. Let's do
mhm,
it. And then for those actions to be something that would put someone I loved into a bad position,
yeah,
that became this weird conflict that I stopped going to them.
mhm,
I supported how I could. I went more on the like posting videos
mhm,
side because
mhm,
then I was like, well, I can't physically be there because it puts this person I love in
mhm.
at detriment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then there was a bit of bitterness that built for a little while because I felt like I couldn't do anything.
Mm,
And then eventually I hit this point of recognizing that I was putting my energy and anger into a fight that wasn't mine.
mm,
Because with Black Lives Matter specifically, I'm not black.
mm.
Surprise to anybody who's not watching and can't tell or doesn't know me.
Mm,
Like there was a moment of recognizing that like I am taking up a fight that's not mine.
mm,
And that's not to say I shouldn't support, but then there's the question of where is that support? What does that support look like?
mm,
And I remembered that I asked somebody on the ride to that
mhm,
the Charleston protest. I think it was Charleston. Anyways, on this other out of town protest, I
mhm,
asked somebody on the bus, what can I do? What would be the best thing for me as a white man to do?
mm,
And he answered, talk to your people, tell your
mm.
people, have a conversation with your people,
Wow.
be the one who's talking to your people. And I was like, oh, fuck. Okay, right.
Mm,
And so continuing back on like kind of the updated timeline, as I recognize that that's not necessarily my fight, but I still need to be aware, I still can be of support in my own way.
mhm,
It was me then recognizing where is my fight or where does my energy need to go?
mm,
And then beginning to recognize that putting anger and putting anger into this thing, in my opinion,
mm,
of what I've learned and what I've studied, does not help at
mm.
all. It only feeds that same darkness
Yeah, yeah,
that you're
yeah.
hoping to undo.
Mhm,
It's like ignoring your shadow,
mhm,
or it's like getting mad at someone to change.
mhm, mhm,
I want you to change, so fuck you, go change.
mm,
You're not doing anything to help it. You're
mm,
gonna make it worse. You're feeding that
mm.
darkness. And so what I've come to now is this point of like, okay, so we've got to come to a point of understanding and love, like through love.
Mhm,
So how can I love somebody to get to understanding so that way I can be talking to my people about whatever it is?
mm.
And bringing up the immigration, I don't know if crisis is the right word, kind of
It's
is.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah. The immigration problems that we're having right now, like through like mass deportations, and what really pisses me off is what you mentioned, how we are all, most of us, are already immigrants.
Mhm,
Some of us willingly,
mhm,
and some of us not.
mhm. Mhm.
So many of us are immigrants to now go, nah, but you guys can't immigrate to this country of immigrants
Mhm.
is bonkers to me. Makes no sense.
Mhm.
But I finally hit this point of just asking questions. I was in a lift in San Diego, leaving a Sacred Sons event, going back to the airport. And the job that I do working with school districts, I like knowing about things. And I work with a lot of school districts in California. And I work specifically with the San Diego South County SELPA. So I work with some of the people who run that.
Mhm.
I talk to them occasionally, like, hey, who do you need? And for the longest time, it was hard to get good rates down there.
Mhm.
They were always like, we don't have money, we don't have money, we don't have money. But then we'll talk to people who live down there. They're like, this is the most expensive spot in California to live besides the direct bay. It's like, okay, but these things don't compute. What's happening? So I asked this Lyft driver, what's up? Help me understand this. And he goes, oh, it's because we're a sanctuary city. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay. And he was like, yeah, we give so much money to these immigrants. And then he is very clearly not on board, very clearly doesn't like it. He is a white man in his late 50s, maybe early 50s,
Mhm.
somewhere in that range. And like, it's just very obvious he is like, he doesn't like it. And so I just listened to him for a minute and I start asking questions.
Mhm.
And so as I'm asking questions, this point of violence comes up. He's like,
Mhm.
well, immigrants are violent. Illegal immigration is violent. They're breaking the law and they're violent. I was like, oh, wow. So you've experienced violence from an immigrant. And he goes, no, 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 I haven't. It's like, oh, okay. So somebody that you know then has been attacked or hurt by an immigrant? Well, no, no, nobody that I know. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, okay, wait. So why do you say this? Where is this coming from? It's
Mm.
like, well, on the news. Like,
Mm.
gotcha. Okay, so it's just the news that's telling you this. Okay, okay. And so I just continue to ask him questions. And as I continue to ask him questions and just prod, I'm recognizing that, yeah, he's really just regurgitating so much that's just coming straight from the news.
Mm.
And there's little bits and pieces that prove that he is putting some thought into it.
Mhm.
He's just not really following that thought process all the
Right.
way through. He's like, but it's against the law. Sure. Have you ever sped? Well, yeah, but it was for
Mhm.
justification. Justification. For he's breaking the law, but it was justified for this. He's doing this, but it's justified for this. But they're breaking the law and it's not justified.
Mm.
So he's making all of these like mental gymnastics of how like me breaking the law or us breaking the law is this, but then somebody who's in the country illegally, that's not something you can. And so then I start asking him more direct questions of like, all right, let's really get into it.
Mhm.
What do you think would happen to industries like food service, construction,
Mhm.
farming,
Mhm.
if we were to just send all illegal immigrants home? What do you think would happen? And he goes, oh, you can't do that. You can't talk about that. I was like, no, you have to.
Mm.
These are all industries that live and run on illegal immigration because so many legal immigrants or legal citizens won't do it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, it's outside of any like you got to take away the labels, man. Like we're all connected. We all are part of the whole. So to act like a certain part of the whole is not a part of the whole is literally it's insanity. Because I
yeah,
mean it is what it is, and um yeah, I mean I think all these red lines or all these this red tape that we're drawing around who can do what is really just to protect obviously a few at the top, and even that, like they're even doing themselves injustice. Um,
well, I want to take it more like down to earth than that
yeah.
because it's easy to say it's protecting those at the top or it's benefiting those at the top. And it takes it to such a cerebral or high level point
Mhm.
that it feels disconnected and it feels as if we're just attacking some like system of like,
Mm,
they're doing this to us.
mhm.
The dude that I was talking to who was so pissed off about this
Yeah.
was driving Lyft and Uber
Yeah.
to make ends meet. He wasn't a senator.
Yeah.
He wasn't CEO. He was just a dude who hadn't really connected with an immigrant, which is why I asked him, so you have been a victim of
Mhm.
immigrant violence? So someone has been no, no?
Mhm.
Damn. Okay, cool. But like you started getting at it like it is what it is, but what does that mean? To me, it means we're all connected and we're all one. To me, the way I see things, the way I believe things is that we are all one body.
Mhm.
And you can't say that like you're less than because you look this way or you're not legal here because you were born over there.
Yeah.
To me, that's absolute ludicrous.
Yeah.
Because you're a human, I'm a human, you're a living being, I'm a
Mhm.
living being.
Mhm.
We are all living on the same planet together.
And I think, this is something that's been coming up for me. I think spirituality requires, um a form of activism, meaning like if we're spiritual beings and we believe in oneness and we believe in equality, believe in justice for all, and yes, there's love and light and there's darkness, and there's things that are misaligned, there's things that are aligned. I think it almost like I'm starting to feel more and more like it's my duty to speak up, to support in the way that I can, to take some form of action, aligned action to help create the world that I want to see. Because if it's just about, the next ayahuasca ceremony or the crystals or just trying to manifest my soulmate when like right and I say that because I saw somebody say it was on Instagram, people are trying to manifest their soulmate and the freaking world is like burning apart, like address what's going on right outside look outside your window. And that was such a wake-up call for me, because it's like I'm not saying that manifesting your soulmate is not important. What I am saying is it's also important to be present and aware of what's happening right now within us, and what's happening to with us as a collective, and being responsible, able to respond to what's happening to affect the change that we want to see. So
Yeah.
selective spirituality is, when I say selective spirituality, what I'm referring to is selecting when and where I want to show up. I want to show up here because it feels good. I want to show up to this men's circle and lead this men's circle because it makes me look good, because men are following me. We're going to take some really nice pictures and it's going to look really cool on my Instagram, right? But
That's
it's
been look, I'm gonna interject with this of that, like, that's been like my favorite thing about like Sacred Sons is this whole like everybody's selling hats and jackets and all
yeah,
of this stuff.
yeah,
And it's a very known thing how like in Sacred Sons they're like, it's not about the fucking hats and the jackets. I don't care how good you look in this.
yes,
How are you showing up in your own life?
yeah,
How are you actually embodying this?
100%.
And that is to say, I am someone who owns one of the big ass hats. And I love
I mean, you could do both, right? But I really feel like it's,
Yeah.
being responsible for ourselves and our immediate surroundings, right? At a
Yeah.
at a more collective level, like kind of what's happening with the large community, the immigrant, the Latina community, me showing up within my family. My aunt just recently passed. I'm almost at 90 days of my promotion. That was super, super important to me to really be present in my job. And at the same time, there was a level of responsibility to show up and be there for my family, right? I didn't do the best job, but I also didn't do anything as well. So I found like I did what I could do, and I showed up how I could, and actually helped me to work on my relationship with my mother. But I know the older version of myself would have spiritually bypassed that and said, "Hey guys, I just got this promotion. Like I can't really spend any time there. I got to focus because it's all about me." You know what I'm saying?
I think you
Um,
just got to the heart of it. It's showing up.
yeah,
It's showing up with love.
yeah,
I think we got on this a little bit last week about how focusing on the light,
mhm,
focusing on things that are of love is the way to get through and get past and
mhm,
overcome so much darkness.
mhm,
You don't need to be diving into and like, let me understand the darkness so I can overcome the darkness. No, darkness doesn't beat darkness.
mhm,
Light beats it. You turn
mhm,
on a light and the darkness goes the fuck away.
mhm,
I feel like what we were talking about last week, like focusing in on that. And so addressing the things that are here, seeing the things that are here and taking action, but doing
mhm,
so from a place of love.
mhm,
And like coming from that space, then you actually make beautiful change. Because when I think back about the protests that I've been to, there was so much anger and
mhm,
hatred coming from the protesters
mhm.
who were trying to say, stop hating us,
Yep,
stop hurting us,
yep,
stop this.
yep.
And they were coming with the same energy.
Yeah.
And I remember the most angry and the most violent dude that I saw at a protest was another white guy.
Mm,
He was a dude that was there. I guess he was with Antifa,
mhm,
but it was also when like Antifa was becoming a big thing that
mhm,
like people weren't quite sure who or what they were really trying to do
mhm, mhm,
because they would take a protest and take it from like a protest to like a fucking riot.
mm.
And there was this one moment where the protest came to trying to get on the interstate, but there were already SWAT lined up in a heavily armed line.
Wow.
And the whole protest started going up to it. And I was in the front
Mm,
because I had been like running ahead to block an intersection so then people could come up because I'm fast. So
mm,
I'd run ahead, block an intersection, then people. the march would go on.
Mm.
And so I was one of the first people to make it to this intersection.
Mm.
And then the whole group comes up, and then like I'm there, and there's a whole line of SWAT, heavily armed.
Mm.
And then this whole protest behind me. And then I hear this dude over my shoulder just screaming and yelling and saying the worst provocative things to the cops.
Wow.
And I turn and I look, and it's this white kid. And I
Mm.
say kid because he was young. Like, he had a half mask on, but you can just see by his eyes that he couldn't be older than like 24,
Wow.
maybe,
Wow.
you know? Dude was young.
Mm.
And like, I'm just like, stop. And I turned and I looked at the SWAT and I was like, please don't. Just please don't. Please don't.
Mm.
And like, even at that point, not having like much embodiment work of love, I could at least realize dude is pissed and making this whole situation so much worse.
Mhm.
So like, coming from a place of anger,
100%.
making things worse.
Yeah.
Coming from a place of love.
Love, a place of being at peace and calm with itself, regardless of all the noise happening outside of ourselves, is so
Yeah.
powerful, man. I was dealing with something where Faith, she was away. She was celebrating her friend's 30th birthday party. And, I have to work through separation anxiety. There's some codependency things that I've been working through and I've gotten so much better with very, very recently. What happened was it got to a point to where as much as I care about this other person, where it just didn't matter what she was doing or not doing. I just found peace within myself. And I say that because, being at peace with myself doesn't mean that I stand for injustice. It means that I can be and I can confront injustice without feeding that same exact energy and making it bigger. I can
Yeah.
confront it and probably help it to calm down or maybe more so my energy versus me mirroring that other energy, which we don't want more of in the first place.
And I think that's where it's at.
Yeah.
From what I've learned, what I've studied, that's where it's at. Finding peace within yourself, finding love for yourself
Mhm.
within yourself so that you can operate from that point.
Mhm.
And I know for me, it's made a hardcore shift in the way that I see life in general.
Mm.
Because I look back and I can remember the way I used to see the world and the way I looked at things and how much anger that I was coming from in so many areas.
Yeah.
Like, I nearly destroyed my relationships with my direct family because of how angry I
Mhm.
was and just blaming them. And like, they weren't directly causing so much of this. They were just
Mhm.
beneficiaries of some areas without really understanding it. And I was just angry at them for this
Mhm.
rather than having compassion of like, there either might not be understanding or, hey, it's a system that is set up in this way, rather than every single person who is here is trying to bring everybody else down, which was a way that I was thinking before.
Thanks for tuning in to Building Consciousness with Jaguar and Jay, where we explore spiritual concepts and aim to break them down in a practical way for everyday use. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on future content. If you have thoughts or questions, drop a comment below or connect with us on Instagram, jdoss545 and build_with_Jaguar. We love to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and remember, we are the authors of our own reality. This is Jaguar and Jay, signing off.